Hidden Billionaire Son-in-law. Chapter 21. Thousands of pointing fingers. Suddenly, a few of the higher-ups of the company stood up and began throwing unreasonable accusations at Lin with angry expressions on their faces. It was as if Lin had really stolen the king of the world. Actually, I had already suspected that something was wrong last time. Although Zhang Qimao had only been in office for a day, she had already bought a car that was worth at least 500,000 yuan. Zhang Tanhai exclaimed with serious expression as he analyzed the situation. From this alone, we can assume that the car was one of the few things she bought after selling the jewelry worth tens of millions of dollars. Looking at how she spends her money recklessly, do any of you really see her fit to stand in her position, let alone be in charge of such an important project? Isn't she secretly hoarding and using the money for herself? Last time, I asked the manager of the finance department to check her account. However, no one from the top management of the company was willing to listen to my advice. Zhang Tianhai said with utmost regret, if they had listened to my advice and checked Zhang Qimao's transaction history, they would definitely have found some suspicious movements behind the scenes. We would have then reported it to the board of directors and removed her from the position as director. If we had done that, how could such a crisis ever befall our company at such a crucial time? Of course. How could we have been so blind? Zhang Qimao was merely a small employee of the marketing department before suddenly rising up into the position of director. She must have succumbed to her greed and stolen the jewelry for herself. That is certainly to be expected. After all, how can people who are afraid of diving back into poverty be suitable for such an important position? She must have definitely stolen the jewelry to maintain her wealth. TSK, such disgusting actions. Zhang Qimao must certainly have played an important role in the heist of the king of the world this time. Every single one of Zhang Tianhai's close friends and senior executives began ridiculing Qimao and adding fuel to the fire as they made their wild guesses. What else is there to think about this situation? Zhang Qimao must have colluded with the people outside. She was obviously tempted by the money. After all, how could she not be tempted by something that is worth more than $10 million after looking at it every day? Did you think that the couple, who was once poor, could actually endure such temptations? Zhang Tianhai spoke like a detective, making speculation step by step. Zhang Tianhai, shut up. You are simply tarnishing my reputation with false accusations. Zhang Qimao exclaimed angrily with a wronged expression. Upon her arrival at work today, Zhang Qimao was the first one who discovered that the king of the world in the safe had disappeared. Despite her moment of shock, she even made the rational decision to look through the surveillance cameras immediately. However, she found that the company's surveillance cameras had all been purposefully shut down the previous night. Furthermore, the power supply in the electric room had also been cut off for a short period of time. It looked as if someone had meticulously planned this heist ahead of time. Originally, this matter should have been reported to the police station to handle. The members of the management of the company, especially Zhang Zining and Zhang Tianhai, had strongly requested that the board of directors call the police to handle it. However, Chairman Wu prevented anyone from doing so. He claimed that he should not publicize it to the public and temporarily conduct an internal investigation within the company. After all, Zhang Qimao was the person in charge of this matter. The greater the commotion, the more it would worsen her reputation. If something like this happened to the project Zhang Qimao was in charge of, even the chairman Wu Yang did not dare take responsibility for the situation. Oh, Chief Director Zhang is really impressive. Is she trying to use her position to pressure us? Zhang Tianhai said in a weird tone, but his face was full of pride. Zhang Chimo, you better understand your current standing in the company. Zhang Tianhai laughed and said, You are but just a mere acting chief design officer. Only after successfully completing the World of the King project and going through the jewelry exhibition can you firmly attain that position. Zhang Tianhai said aggressively, But take a look at the current situation. Not only did you fail to successfully complete the King of the World project, but you even lost a rare jewelry that cost more than $10 million. Furthermore, the jewelry exhibition will be held tomorrow. How are you going to give the company an explanation then? Did you really think that you could secure the chief design officer's position with such ease? Zhang Chimo bit her lips tightly and could not utter a single rebuttal. On the surface, she looked strong, but the grievance in her eyes could not be concealed. She had always been a small employee and worked extremely hard to reach her goals. Through her own inspiration and creativity, she finally obtained the recognition of the company's higher-ups and was promoted to acting director. She finally had a chance to stand out and make a name for herself. After working hard for these past days and nights, she had finally completed her first product. But when the work that she had placed all her blood, sweat, and tears into was about to be published tomorrow, it was then stolen by someone. In the end, she had even been criticized and falsely accused by the other executives in the company. This kind of suffering in her heart was simply indescribable. It could even be considered as the most unbearable thing that Zhang Chimo had ever encountered in her life. Furthermore, she had nowhere to complain and could only endure these executives' unreasonable accusations. Zhang Chimo, I'm not sure whether you were the one who secretly cut out certain materials and ended up making inferior products during the research and development project, but your true nature is now apparent, seeing how you have no intentions of taking responsibility for this matter. I can now safely assume that you tried to hide the jewelry's finished product and purposefully announced that someone else had stolen it. After all, no one else other than you and your husband had seen the actual final product of the World of the King. Zhang Zining suddenly stood up from her seat and stated with a cold smile. She seemed to want to join in on making wild guesses, and did not even try to conceal her intentions. You are talking nonsense. I have never once cut any corners for my work. This piece of jewelry was also made with absolute perfection. Zhang Chimo said indignantly. She could bear the suspicion and criticism from the management of the company, but she, as a person who strived to design the best jewelry, could not bear the insults of her work. Ha ha, how amusing. Zhang Zining continued to mock. You still dare to claim that your creations are perfect? You must still think that your creations aren't as good as mine, right? Tomorrow is the day of the jewelry exhibition. It seems that you deliberately threw away that piece of trash and wanted to gain everyone's sympathy by pretending to be innocent. Could be that you actually don't have what it takes to design this multi-million-dollar jewelry? You intended to get out of the situation and steal the money at the same time by fooling everyone, didn't you? However, did you really think that everyone here is a fool? Are you really that shameless to resort to stealing the jewelry for yourself after finding out that you don't have the ability to produce something worthy of tens of millions of dollars? Zhang Zining snorted coldly with a mocking expression. That's right. None of us have even seen a real finished product. Whether it truly lives up to everyone's expectations or not, only the two of you get to decide, right? TSK. Her words are indeed reasonable. Since Zhang Chimo was originally someone without any qualifications, it's very likely that Sister Ning's words are true. It seems that everyone here has almost been fooled by her pretense. A few of the executives from Zhang Hongjuan's group began throwing out criticisms one after another. Humph! How can such shameless people let them be allowed to stay in the company? Sun Hung snorted coldly. Zhang Chimo Lining, let me tell you too. This piece of work has already cost the company 20 to 30 million yuan, in production fees. In addition, it has also been heavily publicized to the outside world. The cost of everything placed in this project alone is simply immeasurable. Do you think your family can bear this responsibility? Once the jewelry exhibition is held tomorrow, our company will suffer a huge loss due to this exact matter. Your family can definitely not afford to pay for our losses, even if you go bankrupt. Speaking of this, Sun Hung sneered again and said, as the company's vice chairman and a permanent member of the board of directors, I can certainly use my personal name to file a legal lawsuit against the two of you who are in charge of the project. I will sue you for serious infringement of my personal interests. Furthermore, I want to organize all the directors and shareholders to carry out legal sanctions on the two of you. When the time comes, the two of you will be sentenced to countless years in jail. Sun Hung threatened. You really know how to distort the truth, don't you? Do your words really hold the truth to the situation? Lin Yin said with a cold smile, you two are the only ones in charge of the project. Do you think you can get away with it? Zhang Tianhai jumped out of his seat and exclaimed, during the jewelry exhibition tomorrow, the king of the world will naturally appear at the scene. As you said, Qimo and I are the ones in charge of this project. Thus, you do not have to worry about this matter whatsoever. Lin Yin stated plainly. All right, how admirable. Since Assistant Lin is so confident, there's nothing much else to say. I truly hope you can keep your promise, Zhang Tianhai said with a pompous expression. Everyone in this room is a witness to your claim. Assistant Lin said it himself, right? The king of the world will definitely show up at the exhibition tomorrow. If it really doesn't show up, Assistant Lin, we will sue the two of you and take you to court. When that time comes, the two of you have no choice but to leave the company obediently. Zhang Tianhai said coldly, his eyes showing that he had gotten exactly what he wanted. Lin Yin gave Zhang Tianhai a deep look, but did not say anything. Lin Yin, why did you say something like that in front of so many higher-ups in the company? They are going to use it as a bargaining chip. Zhang Qimo whispered beside Lin Yin with a worried expression. Those were simply a groundless accusation. There is no need to stand out. You should just bear with it and let them say whatever they want. Lin Yin smiled and said, Qimo, it's already time to get off work. Let's go home and have dinner first. How are you still in the mood to eat? Zhang Qimo rolled her eyes, on the verge of exploding from Lin Yin's nonchalant manner. Don't worry. We'll just continue talking after we get home, Lin Yin said calmly. Zhang Qimo did not understand why, but it seemed that Lin Yin's casual manner managed to calm her anxiety. Ignoring the stares pointing at them from all directions, the two of them proceeded downstairs and left the company. After the two of them left, Zhang Tianhai revealed a sinister smile and walked to Zhang Xining's side before saying in a low voice, Sister Ning, I did a good job with this matter, didn't I? Zhang Xining whispered with a satisfied expression. Tianhai, I never expected you to actually use such a method. I appear to have underestimated your abilities. This time, you have indeed done well. I will go back and discuss with your brother-in-law about asking the Sun family to assist with your family's recovery.